Hi girls, how are you? Last one, you'd be glad to know, last group that I want you to know about this year really is what's called the carboxylic acids. Okay, so carboxylic acids are, surprise, surprise, a form of acid, which means that they have a proton that dissociates. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. First of all, I just want to show you the dot and cross diagram. So you're looking at this here. Okay, and you'll see that the carbon has formed a double bond with an oxygen here, excuse me, and also a single bond. Can you see that? With this oxygen here, which also has a hydrogen attached. So if I draw it like this, here, you'll see that there's a double bond here. That's supposed to be an O. Sorry, it's not a very neat O. Sure, it's not. I'll redraw that, right? So there's an O. So a double bond O and another O here. So it's kind of like a cross between an aldehyde and an alcohol. Can you see that? That's kind of the bit we'd consider like an aldehyde. Sorry, this is the bit like an aldehyde and this is the bit like an alcohol. And these are called carboxylic acids. And again, they have the same naming system as before. This one's called methanoic acid. Meth as in, one carbon. Okay. And this one here is ethanoic acid. And you've come across this, you might remember. It was in vinegar when we did our vinegar titration. It's got 2 carbons. You can see that. This is the functional group. Okay. So this is the bit that makes it a carboxylic acid. And again, we could make this chain longer. We could have propanoic acid, butanoic acid, pentanoic acid, hexanoic acid. Realistically, you're only going to be asked about the first 2. Okay, so it's important to be able to draw the functional group and name it. All right, that's quite important. One other feature of carboxylic acids is that they are an acid, and we need to just very quickly go through what that means, okay? So an acid is something, you remember from our definitions earlier this year, that's a proton donor. It's really important to remember that this is the proton which it donates, okay? Why does it donate that proton? Well, it's all to do with electronegativity, okay? Remember that tug of war we talked about when electrons are shared. So oxygen has a very high electronegativity, so it's very good at pulling electrons towards it. Hydrogen doesn't. It's only got one little proton in the middle there. It's not very good at pulling electrons towards it. So what happens is that you've got these 2 big bruisers, these 2 oxygen atoms here, pulling these electrons away from hydrogen. So it's actually quite easy for hydrogen to break off and leave its electrons behind, as it's done here. Can you see that? So this bond will literally break and those 2 electrons will stay with oxygen there, and this will break or dissociate. Usually in solution, it'll be attracted to maybe a water molecule, something like that, and it'll break apart and it acts like an acid. Now, carboxylic acid is only in weak acid, which means that it has a higher pH. It doesn't dissociate fully. We'll talk about that a little bit more next year. But really the focus today is just on you being able to draw the functional group and recognize the name, okay? That's what's important in this functional group and in this video today, is just knowing the difference between methanoic acid and ethanoic acid, to know that it's a weak acid, and to be able to draw this structure here, to know that this bit is the carbonyl, this bit is the OH, and yeah, that's it really. Okay, so hope that helps. Bye-bye.